Oh, folks, well, I was at quite a long conversation with me old mate, and he says, what's all these kids bunking off school? I said, what do you mean bunking off school? He said, because of the snow. I said, is that allowed? He says, well, it's a bit dangerous, isn't it? I said, what do you mean by that, mate? He says, well, they're all sliding down sides of hills on tea trays, aren't they? I said, oh. I said, oh, that don't sound right. It don't sound like that meets regulations for sliding down hills, does it? He said, well, no. He said, who's responsible? He said, is the parents responsible for not making sure that the tea trays are suitably locked away and not able for the kids to steal them in the first place to slide down the hills? Is it their responsibility? He said, or is it the council's responsibility to make sure that they clear the snow off the hills so that they can't slide down them and then cause a safety hazard in the first place? I said, well, that's true, isn't it? Or he said, is it the responsibility of the truancy officer to make sure that the kids aren't sliding down the hills, that they're actually in the schools? I said, well, I hadn't thought of it like that. I said, I don't know. And then there was something else he said. I can't think what it was. Oh yeah, is it God's fault? That's what he said, for putting the snow there in the first place. I said, well, you can't blame him. He said, why is that then? I said, no, he just can't. He said, oh, wait. Well, anyway, so I said, you can't. I said, look, snow happens in Europe, doesn't it? He says, yeah. I says, well, Europeans, they don't have all these problems, do they, with snow? He says, well, I suppose they don't really, because they seem to function all right, don't they? They seem to function in great depths. He said, they're more prepared, isn't it? I said, exactly. I said, that's why you can't blame him, him upstairs. You can't blame him, can you, for us not being prepared? He says, no, I suppose you've got a point there, Dave. He said, I bet you could think up some other things, couldn't you? What reasons? I said, well, what in terms of who's responsible? He said, yeah. And I says to him, yeah, I expect I could really. I hadn't thought of it. You know, I just was because I was listening to what he was saying really, and I expect some clever YouTube people out there, you'll be going, Dave, no, it's the people what is ultimately responsible for the kids bunking off school and sliding down the hills on the tea trays are the tea tray manufacturers. They should ban making tea trays, because tea trays could be misused as toboggans down the side of hills. Only toboggans what meet the EU specification for sliding downhill on snow devices should be used, and anyone sliding down snow on anything what is not built to the specifications for things what is designed for sliding down hills without brakes should be suitably thingied. And obviously there should also be speed limits. You can't just go hurtling down hills with willy-nilly, can you? I mean, and what about other people there? There might be people walking their dogs. Well, they don't want to find themselves sat on a toboggan, do they? With their dog in their lap, going hurtling down a hill, because some little oik has decided he's nicked his parents' big tea tray and he's sliding down the hill. There's all sorts of considerations what people are not actually, they don't think about these things, do they? They just, bit of snow, what are we going to do? No, there's no thought, is there? No consideration. I think that we do need regulations to be put in place such that should there be snow, people know what they can and can't do, because otherwise people just go around and they'll be going around enjoying themselves and doing all sorts of things that are fun when it snows. And we can't have that. God. People think they're living in some sort of free society or something or other like that. No, we can't have that. I mean, crikey. Well, that's going to put bureaucrats out of jobs, isn't it? They're the only jobs left, aren't they? For the moment. Yeah, snow tax. There we are. Snow tax. If you've got snow, alright. If you've got snow in your backyard, that'll soon make people clear the snow up. If they had a snow tax, right? If you had snow in your backyard, you'd soon clear it up, wouldn't you? You'd soon get rid of that snow. There, sorted. There we go. That's something for the Copenhagen Agreement, isn't it? Instead of having a carbon tax, they can have a snow tax. And then for all them people what's worried about the potential of another coming ice age, well, that'll sort that out as well, innit? Because if people see some snow falling, they say, "Oh crikey, I'll be having to contribute to the snow tax if I've got snow. I'll clear it away." See? So that'll keep the ice age at bay, wouldn't it? Because all the people will be going around clearing up all the snow. I don't know where they're going to put the snow though, mind. I hadn't thought of that. They'd have to have snow recycling centres. That's it. And that'll create more work, wouldn't it? There you go. Sorted. Cheers for that. I think the snow's gone to my head. Cheers.